Yeah. Wait, should we record this? Because I saw this on my feed and I was going to leave a comment and I saw your comment on it. And then I
Yeah.
didn't even end up leaving my comment.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay.
When you start your business, no one ever prepares you for what's in store. So finding someone else who just gets it is sometimes the thing that can keep you pushing towards those big vision board business goals.
We're turning our Zoom coffee chats into a weekly unfiltered podcast. You always wanted to record them and repurpose them for content anyways. And that's on being a social media manager.
I'm Jessica Sheehy.
And I'm Madeline Daigan. And this is
hashtag
managed. I think it's perfect.
I like it. I like it. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Hashtag Managed. We have a special guest this week, Nathalia. Welcome to the Hashtag Managed podcast.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Likewise, we've been chatting a little bit before we record on the podcast, and I'm like, same conversation Maddie and I always have. Should we be recording this? But we're going to keep that conversation to ourselves. And we have a really fun show prepared for you guys. So thanks so much for tuning in. Nathalia, do you want to kick us off and share a little bit more about you and how you got started in marketing?
Yeah, I always feel like this is such a hard question for me to answer because like I was telling you guys kind of before the show, I feel like there's so many different, I don't know if you've experienced this, but like in life, there's like so many different pivotal like moments, interactions, jobs that like lead you to the final outcome. And I think especially as entrepreneurs, like the journey is sometimes like such a like zigzag that you can like I don't know why I said it like that, zigzag, but it's such a zigzag sometimes. And like it's not like one moment that builds it, but to kind of give you some background, I now have a marketing agency that I've been able to scale to 6 figures in the last 2 years, and which has been like such a journey. And then I'm also part of a couple different e-commerce startups and different projects that are going on. And I have a podcast as well. But the journey to getting here, I think I always like, even when I was in middle school, was like, I loved YouTube. Not that anyone watched my videos, but like I loved creating. I just had so much fun like posting for nobody but like my 100 friends or whatever. And I just had so much fun creating from the time I was young. And then I always had like, I would always find the most random side projects. Like I had a journal business when I was into photography, designed my own journal, started selling those at local markets, stuff like that. But I went into college thinking that my problem was always having too many interests. And so I went into college thinking I was going to be a physical therapist and ended up switching to marketing. And I still had this like pre-PA, pre-law school. I had so many things going on. Ended up dropping out of college to do a sales and marketing internship that also is such a random story, but ended up falling in love with sales. And then I was also a yoga teacher. Like, there was so many different multifacets like in my like late teens, early 20s. And I ended up basically coming to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho for a summer job driving boats on a lake, ended up teaching yoga at this studio. I was reading so many books about marketing, and since my degree was also in marketing, I was just like constantly absorbing like podcasts, books, playing around with my own socials. And then eventually I started giving marketing advice for free to some of these businesses that I was working with, realized that the advice that I was giving was working for them. They started asking me for consulting. I started doing some quick Google searches of like, how much can you charge for marketing consulting? And literally just said like, hell yes, I'm doing this. And I mean, there's more to the story I'll dive in later, but that was basically essentially it. Like I just loved it. And I started offering services and then realized that I could scale this. And yeah, that's like combining like a really long story into like 2 sentences, but that's kind of the behind the scenes.
No, that was perfect. Perfect. And I think has gotten me even more excited for this episode. But before we dive into the main topic and all our other questions, we have a few rapid fire questions. So, starting off, what is your favorite thing about being a marketer?
Ooh, okay. Having fun with the job. I think sometimes obviously like once you get really deep into it, it can feel so stressful and like the fun can kind of go away. But just like when I wake up and remember that I get paid to like help brands connect with amazing customers and like have fun with it. Like you get to film fun videos, you get to connect with people. The job's different every day. The time freedom, if you build your business right. the autonomy to decide like where I want to work, what I want to do, that's probably my favorite.
Love that. Okay, and then a celebrity you'd love to meet?
Jennifer Aniston.
Yes. Can't live without?
Probably my pink Stanley. I can't even drink like plain water. I love it. Too. I feel like I can't drink plain water anymore. Like I'm always finding like electrolytes or like powders or I don't know. I just like fun drinks are my favorite. I'll have like a coffee, a matcha, my Stanley. I just can't live without fun drinks. Yeah.
Yes. In an alternate universe, what would your job be?
Ooh. Songwriter / singer. Yeah.
Yes. And then your favorite brand?
Ooh, probably Crop Shop Boutique or Yellow the Label. I really like wellness.
Writing
like,
those down.
quotes. Yeah.
We're like, okay, influenced. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Also, I feel like I need a disclaimer in here too, because you guys, I personally have been following Nathalia since if you guys recall the cycle syncing episode, like one of your clients is the cycle syncing tea. So like obsessed.
Yeah. No, I love cycle tea so much. Yeah, I love that. And I loved that episode. I actually listened to it and I started listening to your podcast after that. I was like, these girls they're doing something right. I love it. It's always fun when you meet like-minded. That's the one thing I love about the internet is like it connects like-minded people across the country where sometimes like you don't always have that when you're starting out in business, like right in front of you. So
yeah. Yeah. And that's always been like the core of our mission, just to always be really intentional and connect. And I think that's one thing that we talked about for everyone listening before we hit record. We were just talking about how, there's two types of entrepreneurs. There's entrepreneurs who give and there's entrepreneurs who take. Mm-hmm. And there's really no in between. And we're all entrepreneurs here who give. So, okay, let's dive into the questions because I know we're just so eager to kind of talk through a couple of different things. And so to start us off with, you've built a 6-figure marketing agency. Can you walk us through how you got started and what that journey looked like specific to the agency?
Yeah. So I kind of mentioned before, I was working part-time, like at a summer job. And then, this yoga studio was trying to hire me, but I was working at a coffee shop. I was working at like a summer job. And, sorry, one second. I had like a brain loading moment. That consulting moment ended up, so when I started giving marketing advice to that, the yoga studio owner, she also happened to own a med spa. And so they hired me full time to work hourly, like at that med spa, managing their social media, running ads, email marketing. And so that was technically my first marketing job. But I realized, so this was about 2 years ago, and I realized the better that I got at my job, the less I would get paid because it was hourly. So I realized even if my post was bringing them in like thousands of dollars, or even if the ad that I'm making, I'm only getting paid for that half an hour that it took. So I found myself really like stretching out the work I was doing so that I could get paid like and survive for like the job that I was doing. And at the time I had started dating my now boyfriend, who he's also an entrepreneur, and he's like a chronic course buyer. He's great at what he does. He has a non-emergency medical transportation business, but he had bought this course from, I don't know if you know who Iman Ghazi is, but he had bought this course from Iman Ghazi about like how to start an agency. And so he gave me the login and was like, Nat, there's no reason why you shouldn't start your own business and do this for yourself as a contractor. So went through the course. And then I basically went to my employer at the time and was like, hey, instead of paying me X amount per month, whatever I was making at the time, I think I was making 20 something an hour, and then 30 hours, like 3,000 or whatever. So instead of paying me 3,000, pay me 2,000. And, I'm going to deliver the same or more. Like I laid out the deliverables, this amount of emails, this amount of posts, this amount of, ads, make me remote and make me a contractor through my own company. it made sense for them because they saved money. It made sense for me because now if I can learn how to either automate the job, contract the job out, or do the job a lot faster, like just get really good at my craft, I could figure out how to do the work in a small amount of time and still get paid that retainer. So did that. I had taken, I think I mentioned earlier, like a sales job in Hawaii. During college, I had like dropped out, done that, it was just glorified retail. I was selling bamboo mattresses on Maui, but it was really fun. It wasn't like this like serious thing. It was really fun. But I had sold this mattress. This is where I really believe in like doing a good job in whatever you're working, because you never know how it's going to create a connection like down the line. But I had sold this one mattress to this couple, and they had told me, hey, you're really good at sales. If you ever need a job, call us. So she's an online fitness, like boutique fitness and nutrition coach. And so I called her and was like, hey, because at this point I only have that one client. And I called her and I was like, hey, do you still need it, like another salesperson? So she got me selling online. I learned how to sell. Like I had a sales coach, took hundreds of sales calls, learning how to sell for someone else's brand. And then I started networking with different business owners, seeing what problems I could solve for them, and using all the sales skills that I had learned from there, the marketing skills that I had learned from my job at the med spa, and then figured out how to offer those same services to more local businesses, and then started expanding and started posting and doing all the things. But that's kind of like how I got started. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. By the way, did not realize the sales job was on Maui. So I'm like, you know
Right.
what? I could be, I could let me sell this stupidest thing.
Let me sell some baby. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It was a sweet setup. You go in, like you live with 4 strangers, like during the internship for like 8 months, and you just wake up every day, like go to the beach and then go sell mattresses. Like it was fun. Yeah.
Man, that's the life. Like maybe that's my
Maybe that's the new career. Yeah. No, I definitely miss it. That was a fun chapter for sure.
I want to say too, just one thing that I always share with someone, because I think I always get the question of like, oh, like, you know, how are you so successful? And it's not that easy of let me give you a quick high and dry answer. Even give me an hour of your time and I probably can't really fully like sum it up. But I like that you really mentioned like the selling aspect, because I think that's one thing that most people who are trying to make the leap from solopreneur or freelancer or contractor to agency owner, sometimes they try to do it because they don't like sales and they don't like solving those problems for their clients, and
Right.
they just look at it of, okay, wait, I want to increase my volume, I want to increase my team and get out of like the doing the day to day, or you know, creating content or whatnot. But you can't have an agency without selling, unless you're going to have a sales team that you're gonna put like in like a 4-bedroom apartment kind of thing. But no, I'm kidding.
Totally. Well, and I'm such a believer that at the beginning, like, especially when it comes to service-based businesses, like your best bet is being in the field as long as possible, doing that front end work, because you're going to learn so much more doing it that way. And also your margins are astronomically higher. And I think especially now with like, even small things like setting up a separate chat GPT and really training it to the brand voice of each of the clients that you're working with, that can save you hours of time and copyright. Like it's honestly easier to train AI to do what you want it to than to train an employee to do what you want them to. And like when it comes to sales, I really think the main thing I've learned about sales is when it comes to sales, the second it feels like a sale, you're doing it wrong. Like you've triggered sales resistance. So it's like, I think a lot of people have this like scammy feeling when it comes to sales. And in reality, like sales is just bridging the gap between connecting someone who needs something with someone who can deliver that thing really well. And I feel like there's so much like talking about like what makes you successful and like that one thing. Like everyone wants like a cookie cutter answer, but to be so honest with you, it's being willing to get rejected 100 times and to go through 100 really crappy situations and to fail like really fast and really hard over and over, and like how quick can you get back up and like learn from it and do it again. Because like I think especially the first time, the first sales you make is the hardest, because number one, you haven't done the thing before, right? Like you're doing it for the first time. And second, you have to get someone to take a chance on you. And you're bad at sales. You're bad at the skill And it's the hardest. You don't have like a portfolio for it. So like, I think at the beginning it's the hardest, and just like being, I've found that leading with value rather than like if you come to a business owner and instead of telling them, hey, you should pay me and use my marketing services, they'll be like, why? But if you come to them and you're like, hey, here's five, here, I have a PDF of content ideas that whether or not you work with me, these are going to move your business forward. Or I have like a marketing plan of like, I think you need to be running ads. Here's why, here's what's going on with the market. Like you've done that research, and you give that to like free value, just give away free value. And a lot of times people like, they will ask to pay you and work with you because you're giving away so much free value. So I think there's like small things that you just don't know to do that unless you either talk to someone who's done it or you do it 100 times and get rejected. I've had some really bad rejection stories too, but yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So obviously on the same topic of sales can feel scary in the early stages. How did you build your confidence in sales conversations?
Oh boy. So I'm actually going to give you a rejection story. I remember one of the first, so I'd mentioned I had my first client who was like the job that I used to have transitioned to a client. And I started networking with different business owners. And there was this one software company that I remembered this so vividly. I had someone who was very kind and connected me with the owner. And I sat down because before then most of the time, like I would sit down and learn about someone's business, and I wasn't like fully prepared with like a full pitch before I even knew them. So I thought this was a sit down, and she was ready for a job interview. And, we sat down. I knew almost not close to nothing about her business. And within 2 seconds, she was like, you're wasting my time. Like it literally was probably like a 2-minute call. And she was like, you're wasting. I was nervous. Like I had so much, of course you have so much anxiety the first time you're pitching yourself and you're doing this and you're asking for rates, maybe that you're even like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, you have all these like imposter syndrome, limiting beliefs. So I'm anxious. We sit down. Literally 3 minutes into the call, she was like, especially when they start asking you questions like, well, have you done this before? Blah, 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 blah. And like, you truly haven't at the beginning. Like that's tough. And so within 3 minutes, she was like, yeah, you're wasting my time. I'm not interested in talking to you, and hung up. Like she didn't even give me a chance to like say anything. And I remember like walking home and being like I think I was shaking all day and just being like, maybe I should just not do this. Like, maybe why am I qualified? Like, and so I think one thing I've learned is that everything, even good progress, feels so crappy if you've never done it before. Like anytime you level up and anytime you do something new, you kind of have to expect to feel terrible, because that's just kind of like the cost of breaking out of your comfort zone. And the only thing you can do is like keep showing up, because a lot of times it's a numbers game. Like if you do it enough times, like you will get better. And it's like, I heard an analogy this morning that's like, you don't wait until you have muscles to go to the gym. That's just not what it's like, right? You go to the gym first and then you get the muscles. So it's like, you do the sales calls. But I will say, if someone is new to it, something that I think cut the learning curve by like half was getting that remote sales job as a high ticket closer and doing it for someone else's brand with training. I really think that every entrepreneur needs to work in sales at some point. This, for me, I feel like expedited my success in business so much, because when all you're doing is learning, like just understanding how sales work, and understanding like, how do I get someone to sell to me why they need me, by asking. Sales is more about asking questions than it is pitching. I think a lot of times if you don't know about sales, you think like, oh, I need to come in and I need to pitch you on why you need this brand, versus if you come in, like the best sales strategy is trying to get someone to tell you, where are you currently at? Okay. Where do you want to go? Okay. So now you've created this gap, and then you're like, what have you already tried? Has it been working for you? No. Why are you talking to me? They tell you why they're talking to you, why they're interested in your service. Then you're like, what do you think would bridge the gap between the two? So now before you pitch, you literally have all of the feedback of what they think will work, what they think won't work. And then you're most likely to give a pitch at the very end after you ask permission that already aligns with what they told you they need. And then asking them, like, even like before you pitch, like, hey, what would prevent you from, like, you said that these are the action steps that you need to take. And most of the time people will be like, it's ads, it's investing in my social media. Like, they'll tell you, and you'd be like, what would prevent you? Like, just understanding like the psychology behind like what questions to ask and how to get someone else to sell you. It's something that's really hard to learn on your own. And like having a sales coach, having a remote sales job, for me, that just like cut it in half. Solving. Yeah. And then, like I said before, coming with solving their problems first, assuming the sale, and then asking for compensation accordingly to the problem you're solving. Like, you can ask for a lot more money when you're solving a bigger problem for somebody. So, and then guarantees. Like, I think a lot of times at the beginning when talking about sales is daunting, if you feel really anxious and you're like not sure, like, well, I don't know if I can get somebody a 3-time return on ad spend, or I don't know, like, if I really have what it takes to like grow someone's account. There's a lot of really smart guarantees that you can put in place that aren't money back, but like at the beginning, I would do things that are like I guarantee to, what were some of the guarantees that I have? And I've moved away from these for very obvious reasons, because some of these were kind of dumb. But one that I started out with was like, I would charge a higher retainer, but be like, I guarantee a 2-time or 3-time return on ad spend for certain and this was strategically done, but I guarantee a 3-time return on ad spend within like 5 months or 4 months or 3 months, depending on the industry, or I'll work for you for free until you do, because a lot of the hard work is in setting the like with the time frame on it. But like even a small guarantee like that, where a lot of the hard work is done in the setting up of, like, for me in ad campaigns, of course, with social media or other stuff, it'd be a different, but like giving like an added value where it's not going to ruin you if you continue to provide value, and you were able to guarantee that it was like a lot more of a, oh, I'm a results oriented agency. I don't know if that's super helpful, but those are some of like the key things that have like really helped me. And there's a lot of different like strategic angles that you can approach it from that end.
I'm so glad you brought up, though, like your like past rejection, and it wasn't perfect, because I feel like in this world, social media is fake, like everybody's showcasing their highlight reel. And I just, even as like veteran social media marketers, where I feel like just on our last episode, for those listeners who are wanting to start a podcast, even, where what's preventing them from starting that or even pitching to people is just they want it to be perfect the first time. And it's like, it's not going to be, but B, like, get rejected, fail multiple times, so that you take that learning experience and like it makes for a good story. It like do it for the plot,
You have to be able to laugh at yourself. Yeah.
And I think too, like, that's easier said than done, because I think now I'm at a season in life where every no I ever received before now, like, at the time I'm like, it's the end of the world, I suck, like, what am I even doing? But now I'm just like, oh child, like like trust me, like there's, and I know we're gonna fail even more, like, but at least now I'm like, okay, I just need to go for a quick little walk and then we'll move on.
No, I love what you said so much, because I think in reality, like, the only way I'm still learning. Like, I'm barely at the beginning. Like, honestly, I feel like the more you do it, the more you realize how little you know. And the more you you just kind of realize, like, I honestly, I welcome failure, because I'm like, you're doing something right. Like, you're trying. And, yeah. And like I said, I really believe it's just a numbers game. Like, if you quit after your first failure, I think there's a quote that I love, but, it's entrepreneurship is basically just who wins the game is who can endure getting kicked in the balls long enough. Like, it's basically just like, can you suffer the emotional cost of, like, can you handle the uncomfortability of things going really wrong and like long enough to get it right one time, And so I love what you said. And honestly, this coming back to like having fun with it. Like, I think you can take it so seriously that you forget I think especially in an agency setting, like one rejection doesn't really mean anything, you know? But we always focus on that one rejection rather than like the other 5 clients that like love you, you know? So
that just made
Yeah.
that just made me think of that trend. I think it's like an older trend, but it's like, you're so funny, and it's like, thanks. And like, I did one, it was
the
like,
trauma,
thanks.
yeah.
I went to Catholic school for like 13 years of my life, but I feel like every entrepreneur is like, thanks, I'm an entrepreneur. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. No, that's so spot on. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always think it's funny people who aren't chronically online. I'm like, I don't know how to talk to you because I can't reference trends and memes. I'm like, how do you live without referencing trending audios or like, I don't know. I'm just like, it's like such a part of the vocabulary. So I love that you brought that up.
Being a social media manager can feel like folding a fitted sheet while you're trying to explain at the family reunion what it is you actually do online, but you don't have to do it alone. The hashtag Managed Collective Mentorship is your weekly dose of business strategy, advice, and let's be honest, therapy. Grab your lunch, hop on our weekly lunch break coaching calls with myself and Maddie, and let's figure out how to thrive in this wild social media management world. Sign up now at hashtagmanaged.com/mentorship. Use code MANAGED for 20% off your mentorship. That's MANAGED. Join us now at hashtagmanaged.com/mentorship. We'll see you there at the next lunch break therapy sesh. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. If you made it this far, I think we've officially become internet besties. You can always call into the hashtag hotline and say hello, leave a review, or ask your burning questions.
Make sure you follow, rate, and review the podcast wherever you're listening from. Subscribe to the Social Club newsletter for our weekly email, and shoot us a DM over at hashtag Managed on Instagram, letting us know what your biggest takeaway was from this episode.